Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. I hope you've all had a very happy Monday. Today I thought we would give a nice and chilled out video, do something a little bit different, and talk about perhaps when is this bull run going to end? When is a crypto bull run going to end? There's a number of theories that get thrown around the place. We're going to cover them because they all sort of contradict each other, yet they all have quite a lot of evidence to support them. The two main theories which we're going to cover are the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory, and that Bitcoin follows this kind of 4-year trajectory based around the halvening, which is where Bitcoin supply gets cut in half every 4 years. And essentially this causes a bull run and a supply crunch, which causes a spike in the price. And there is the lengthening cycle theory, which we're also going to look at, and there's evidence for both, yet they both cancel each other out in terms of being right. If we are indeed lengthening in terms of cycle, it means that we're not going to follow this kind of 4-year cycle theory, which we followed today. This is a video that we made a year ago when Bitcoin had just embarked in 2021. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself there. And the 4-year cycle theory has essentially been what's allowed me to make quite a lot of money in crypto, because it's followed last year very, very accurately. You know, you can see this was the last 4-year cycle theory, and this is the current one that we're on, and we've done pretty much the same thing. There's also similarities with 2013, 2017, and 2021. So the short answer to is when is this crypto bull run going to end? The short answer is nobody has any idea exactly when it's going to end for definite. People have got an idea, people have got theories, but there's no exact, precise, specific, definite answer out there. People are just trying to use data to predict when they think it's going to be. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about both theories, why there's credibility to both of them, and we're going to talk about, okay, well, if we don't know for definite, how will we sort of know when perhaps it might be the time to sell, if that's your objectives and you don't want to hold into the future and kind of ride the bull and bear markets out. And we're going to show you some key signs to look out for, so how we typically will end a bull market, and when you see this sort of price action, potentially it might be time to get out, because it's unsustainable price action is the truth. So the market's looking a bit more chirpy today, guys. I'm sure many of you are over the moon with that. Bitcoin's looking great, Ethereum's looking great. Cardano seems to be one of the leaders today, which is fantastic for me personally to hear. If you guys aren't already in the Discord, guys, it's mainly related to our stake pool, the All-in Cardano stake pool. But you're welcome to join the Discord. The link's in the description. So the 4-year cycle theory, how do we know when the bull run ends? First of all, why are we looking at Bitcoin? Well, the whole market follows Bitcoin. This is the total money in the crypto space in terms of market cap, and this is the total too, which is Bitcoin taken out of the total market cap, and it's just altcoins, and you can see that it literally follows Bitcoin's trajectory. The whole market still to this day follows Bitcoin. We saw that in the recent pullback and the recent recovery. There's still a lot of credibility to that, and that looks like it's going to continue certainly into the future. I think we're going to move away. We see dominance as time goes on ever decreasing. Yeah, we might see some areas of strength, but ultimately as the space becomes more evolved, things will follow their own kind of rhythms and detether, if you will, from Bitcoin. So if you want to kind of predict when things are going to end, when is a good time to sell if that's your objectives, you want to look at Bitcoin. And to date, we followed this 4-year cycle theory very, very accurately. And to be honest, the 4-year cycle theory, there's only really been one complete 4-year cycle within this. This is, like I say, we were talking about this a year ago. We've been talking about it for nearly 3 years now, just not on YouTube. There's only really been this cycle here that's been today, that's actually played out in like as an accurate 4-year cycle theory. One thing that is weird and gives it a lot of credibility is the fact that the end of perhaps 4 years, you see a sell-off. So 2013, 2017, and 2021, it's kind of, or certainly not 2021 yet. The bull run has ended with the turn of the new year, which kind of gives the 4-year cycle theory credibility. However, I now happen to believe, and as somebody that's followed the 4-year cycle theory for a long time, that cycles are lengthening. I think there's also fundamental reasons why perhaps cycles lengthen. I'm going to show you why I think this in this video. I actually think we're going to top out in next year. Potentially, and that's if we don't enter a super cycle, which is for a whole nother video. But what I will do, very quickly, if you guys are looking for how will you know when this bull run's sort of come to an end or coming to an end, take a look at 2017 and how that one ended in the price action that you saw. This big parabolic movement upwards. This is unsustainable price action. You will get a you'll come back to your EMAs, things will kind of reset, if you will. So you will see typically a sell-off or some sort of a sustained period of consolidation after a price movement like this. So that, of course, is 2017, obviously 2013. We have the same thing again in regards to price action. So if you see this, it might be a good time to think about start getting out in the market. And remember, hold both of these theories in your mind so that either one be ready for. That's the best advice, not financial advice, the best advice based on my opinion that I could possibly give is you need to stay vigilant in these markets. And you need to pay attention to Bitcoin in relation to when it's going to end. Now, why do I think cycles are actually lengthening? Well, here is the brave new coin liquid index for Bitcoin. It's the longest chart of Bitcoin that we have. Starts in 2010. Obviously, Bitcoin came out in 2018. And if we look at cycles, guys, and I'm going to overlay this to really prove a point in a second. The first cycle that we had, that is not what I meant to do. The first cycle that we had, or that we have on record, essentially lasted a total of, let's go back here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go to the daily and do this. So the first cycle that we had, guys, lasted a total of 334 days. The second cycle that we had lasted approximately 336, lasted 906 days. So can you see these cycles here? First cycle, second cycle, obviously third cycle. So this one was around about 300 wrong tool there again. Sorry guys, it's been a very long day for me, ladies and gentlemen. Was around about 326 days for the first one. The second one was around about 904 days. The third one is around about 1,482 days. So there's a lengthening from top to top, or from top to new all-time high, before then correcting. There's a lengthening period of time. And if we look today, we've pretty much done what we've done in the third cycle already. Obviously, this was a perfect 4-year cycle. So if we follow it, then it would say that, we could still potentially be following the 4-year cycle and top out in that sort of same time period. I just don't buy. I think it's too obvious that potentially we could sell off in January and repeat in the or for Bitcoin, it was early, and altcoins, they topped out in January when Bitcoin kind of made its second attempt upwards before rejecting. And what I want to do very quickly is, what I've done is put the bar pattern on here for the individual cycles and overlaid it onto our current cycle. I'm sure many of you have seen a version of this graph sort of being thrown around. So this was the first one. What we'll do is change colors. This was the second one. And this, of course, was the third one. For a time period then, I think this was largely due to what took place and the amount of money that was needed to print it. If you look at the M2, which they've tinkered around with now, there's a lot of credence to us overtaking our first cycle or our third cycle, the one prior to this, due to how much money was printed and just how inflated the dollar and other currencies got. So you can see we are still on track, but you can see this lengthening time period. They get longer and longer. They also get lower and lower in terms of ROI. This makes sense. There's the law of diminishing returns, etc., etc. So I actually think it's quite likely that you could do something like this, guys, and top out around about your 100Ks. I'm not so sure we're going to, bearing in mind, just because something's happened and we followed a certain criteria prior doesn't mean it's going to continue to happen. Lots of calls for us going up to 300, 200K. You never know. If this gets as parabolic and with the right kind of backing as we think it potentially could, you never know. But that's really what to look at. So we could potentially be looking at topping out next year. I don't really know a date specifically. We are going to do a updated version of this where we look into things in more detail. This was just some thoughts, perhaps what to look out for when you start seeing that parabolic price movement. That might be time, if you're looking to exit a position, to sort of start thinking about it. But no one's going to time these tops perfectly, and it just doesn't happen, guys. You might get one guy that gets lucky as a fluke, but to time it perfectly is near on impossible. The best thing to do is take profits along the way, in my opinion. And then you should be, you'll be happy. What a lot of people do, I don't do it because I'm that confident in cryptos. They take their initial investment out and then just you know, let the rest kind of ride. But I'm happy to leave everything in there because I know where I believe this is going. Crypto's the future, ladies and gentlemen. It really is. We've done so much looking into that. So that's really all I have for you guys. There's definitely credence to the lengthening cycle theory, which would invalidate the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory. But there's also credence to the Bitcoin 4-year cycle theory in a number of ways. I personally think we are going to lengthen and go into next year. And we're going to do an updating on video on potentially when that could be. That is all I have for you in the video, guys. I'm going to love and leave you on that note. If you enjoyed the content, like was appreciated. So is a comment. If you want to delegate to our Cardano stake pool, feel free. And if you want to join the Discord, go ahead. I'm going to love and leave you on that note, ladies and gents.